Okay, my apologies. I was cut off 10 minutes into my my little rant about the complexities of nutrition versus training. Just as a super quick recap, diet is the hardest aspect of the body composition improvement game. It's the hardest aspect because we have to take our diet with us 24/7. Training is much more straightforward. Training, on the other hand, ultimately is infinitely more complicated than what happens with your diet, because your diet, as I say in the first video, is essentially pretty simple for most of us. Eat from the land. If you eat from the land and get that into your head, that means I can't eat that box of donuts, I can't eat Cocoa Pops, but a piece of bacon is not going to kill me, an egg's not going to kill me, an orange isn't going to kill me, porridge isn't going to kill me. Right? Pretty simple stuff. Training. The more experienced you are at weight training or any other form of exercise, the more you need to keep adapting. I'm going to correct myself, I've completely gone wrong then. The more you need to keep changing your routine in a logical, well-organized and intelligent manner in order to keep your body positively adapting to the stress, because we adapt to a given training stress by laying down new muscle tissue if we're talking about hypertrophy, by getting fitter if we're talking about running, by getting aerobically fitter if we're talking about doing things like jogging. We adapt to a given stress, and if we then keep applying the same stress, we don't need to adapt further because we have already adapted. It's pretty logical. All of this stuff is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So the point being, if you don't keep tweaking your programs, you're not going to keep on progressing. So now, all those people who get into all those arguments about diet, all these polarized opinions about diet, they need to get thrown right out of the window. And if people really want to argue, if personal trainers really want to argue, let's argue the merits of 10 by 10 versus, with relatively complete rest intervals versus 8 by 8 with incomplete rest intervals. Let's start a discussion about that. Let's start a discussion arguing the merits of full range of motion versus partial range of motion. Let's start an argument. What is more important, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy or myofibrillar hypertrophy? These are things that actually one could get into a meaty debate about. Getting into a debate about should we eat, 2 pieces of fruit a day or should we eat 4? We need sensible people. We need to take this nutritional argument and get rid of it. So long as we are able to educate ourselves properly on what eating from the land constitutes. That gets us, as I said in the first video, 80% of the way there, 80% of the time. And that really applies for most of us. So we can eat the same diet the whole time. We can't train the whole way the same time. Get that into your head. Diet, hard to execute, simple to understand. Training, not necessarily easy to execute, but easier to execute than diet. But trust me, more complicated to understand. So, I'm going to leave you with that. I apologise for the disjointed nature of having 2 videos on this. This is Nick Mitchell. Eat sensibly, train hard.